Hi, I'm Randy Van Wagner, president of Mohawk Valley Community College, and I'm here with Dan Porcelli, who started working at MVCC in July of 1977 as a financial aid accountant and has been the college's bursar since 2006. So Dan, thank you so much for helping MVCC celebrate 75 years. Welcome. And take me back to 1977 and how you came to work at MVCC in the first place.
Well, I was up from Florida. I started out here as a banker, had 10 years in the banking industry. Then I went to Florida in '75, worked at a couple of horse tracks and dog tracks. And for personal reasons, I had to come back home. And I had to find a job. So I was hired under the Comprehensive Employment Training Act, commonly known as CETA. And I was placed at MVCC. After 6 months, I was made permanent as a financial aid accountant. Stayed in that position for about 20 years. And then at that point, I went to financial systems accountant. Stayed in that until 2001, where I was appointed as the bursar, where I am today.
Very good. All right. So that comprises 43 years at MVCC at this point and counting. And I can only imagine the stories, the memories, and all things accumulated during those 43 years. But if you don't mind, could you share just a couple of stories about that kind of illustrate what MVCC means to you, or stories, and I'm sure there are countless ones that just stand out for one reason or another.
Sure. I like to say I started here in '77, which was about 10 years after my dad laid the last brick to Payne Hall. He was on the construction team that built Payne Hall. So I'd like to say I've been here 54 years, one way or another. But some of the highlights, I guess we'll start in 1985. We became the first school in New York State to transition from the Stafford Loan Program into the William D. Ford Direct Lending Program, which we still use today. That was a benchmark at that point. In 1992, again, we became the first community college, not state operated, the first community college to use the software called Banner. That was quite a transition, took us about 6 months. Very team orientated, work with many departments. We isolated ourselves into a war room in the academic building, and it seems like we never left there. Okay, where do we go from here? In 2001, we started having students automatically scheduling their courses online. And I'm proud to say that the first student was my son, who came in on a Saturday morning with the assistance of Kate Barefoot, and we walked him through it. Or did he walk us through it? I'm not exactly sure, but in any event, it got done. And that's where we remain today. About 5 years later, we connected with Nelnet, which is a national company, to handle our full payments and online payment plans. And we've been with them ever since. I'm going to talk about the first programs that I've witnessed. Approximately 28 years ago, we had the Presidential Scholarship Program. which has been very helpful to our Oneida County top 10%. Approximately around that time, we also started the dual credit program. And that has been unbelievably successful. I'll let it go at that. We recently had the College Connection program, but that was born under the title of College Now, which is long before that. And now today we're involved with many great new programs. The Job Corps Scholarship Program, the MV Tech Program, Propel, P-Tech. And I think I could go on and on there. I'll stop there and I'll go off on a little tangent. Why we have a lot of pride here. A few years back, I think in 2014, we were challenged by the other division, Student Services, in a kickball game. And I coached at third base. In fact, I even remembered a spectator in back of me there, cheering each on, of course. And we were trailing 8-3 in the 7th inning, but we rallied and we won 11-8. In doing so, we were the first to win what is known as the Golden Gnome. Like we told our team at the end, when you're first forever. Now, since then, there have been many other games, a basketball game. I even think there was a chess match. I'm not sure of that, but again, we were the first forever. And yes, our gnome trophy had vanished for a short time. We knew who took it, but I'm not going to reveal that. We're going to take the high road on this. It's back in its proper place. And that's all I have to say about that.
Dan, that's a great story with the gnome and the kickball and documenting the score 11-8 to be sure that's clear and in the record. I have to ask a question. When we think about stories, we have stories about a team, and you have a real sense of team with your staff and really that whole first floor, the registrar of financial aid, the work you do really every semester, whether it be the bills, the registration, the grades, just everything, keeping it all lined up. I can't help but think about the story, the team story of the fall of 2019, when 4 days before the start of classes, we had a cyber attack that froze all of our servers. And how, have the sense of IT and what they had to do, but all of that. But you and your team, how did that, as you reflect back on that, what was that like?
It was really devastating. We had to roll up our sleeves above our elbows, hunker it down, look at where we ended, what was missing, report it to IT, and get ready for when we came back up. And the barrage of phone calls from students, parents, vendors was enormous. But my team came through, my co-team in the registrar, financial aid, and admissions came through. I think we really showed what MB was all about. And that was only the beginning prior to the pandemic.
Yeah, that was what a prelude, right? And if I'm not mistaken, it was like within 4 hours, you all had worked a workaround of some, even though the servers were still frozen, you were still able to, like, you brought up a old version of Banner. Somehow you were still taking payments and
Right,
doing things via paper or something, but it was operational. It just wasn't on the web and online.
right. We kept it as invisible to the public as possible. And I stress as possible.
That was just really, really remarkable. And that team high performance story, that I think of that as a major inflection point, and there are so many over the years. But over the course of, the last 44 years, what's kept you coming back and staying at the college so long?
Well, I think in the first 40 years, I mean, I really love it here. I love helping students. I have a child, and he's got kids, so I try to treat them as I would want my own treated. And the unity perspective of all the workers here, they're all united, going one way. Last 4 years, I suppose I could have retired, but I like to say I'm doing things backwards. I retired from golf because I have a bad hip. And what would I do rather than what I love to do here? I mean, if you can't play golf, you might as well go to work.
That's great. I hadn't thought of it that way. There's working and retiring to go play golf. You retire from golf and go to work.
Right.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for helping MVCC celebrate 75 years.
Okay, Randy, thank you very much. My honor.